let's see. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Ooh. Yeah, it's a busy. Tomorrow's my last day of lectures, so I'm in the midst of grading. Finishing all the grades, and then obviously next week I'll be reading and grading papers and giving finals. And so, um, there's a couple churches in San Antonio. I was at St. John Cassian's for their church consecration. I've never been to a church consecration. Long service. It's like 5 hour service. I had to wake up at like 4:30. I don't even, was it 4:45? I don't know why we woke up so early. We got there at like 7 to set up, and then uh, services began at 9. We didn't end services till like 2:30. Then there were receptions, and then and there was vespers the night before, then vespers that night, and then liturgy in the morning. So I was exhausted. Really, I've never stood that long on my feet doing services. Um, let's see. There was something I was gonna say and I got distracted as usual. What? Um, questions. Dave the Philippian, a regular contributor, donates $10. Pray for me too. I should look this morning and see if we got. I told you about I have next semester at Carroll College teaching a one of the classes I'm teaching is a philosophy of science. Is one of my favorite classes to teach, and for some reason this year, like nobody was signing up, and so that's going to be canceled either today or tomorrow, sometime this week. Um, if I don't get at least 3 more to sign up, none of us can actually figure out why this is happening. Um, I think we did rule out it was not an interface issue. Um, there's so many moving parts because like you have like what's called an essential core. Let's see, please God. Let me just check the what the enrollment is. Nope, it's the same. Only 4 people. So it'll probably be canceled. But pray it doesn't. It has to do with like depending on like core is like a general kind of education core thing, and you have like certain requirements to take, and all of these missing moving parts because certain classes count for certain things in certain categories, and depending on what you've taken and what year you are, that actual all that stuff changes. If you've taken one course and it counts for that, it'll move and push another course out so that you don't see it or you don't take it. So none of us can kind of figure out. There's so many moving parts. We can't figure out why enrollment on this class was so low, but uh, it looks like it'll be canceled, and it's really unfortunate. Let's see. Met with Father Moses. Yeah, had come down, so that was wonderful. I didn't get to go up to Austin. There were just so many things that obviously and people that I was seeing. Um, I was staying with Father Julian, and I was his guest, so uh, also I had to fly out Monday afternoon out of San Antonio. That's too far of a drive from Austin to San Antonio to do that. But I'll tell you what, I actually like San Antonio a lot better than Houston. I am not a fan of Houston. That is where Father Julian's parish is, but I do not like Houston at all. Okay, there was something I was going to tell you, and I can't remember. Got to see the miraculous mirror streaming icon of Averone. Father Nectarios, Ike was asking, say hi to Father Nectarios. Was Father Nectarios traveling with it? He was not. He was unable to make it, so he said Father Octavian. And throughout the services, there were points in time where it really started gushing myrrh. And I always forget about this. I've obviously had many miracles myself with people in my family with the myrrh streaming icon, but what I forgot about it is that it comes through the glass. So it's not just coming through the cracks and coming out like on the bottom of the container. And not only does it beat up on the inside, like condensation on the inside, so you can see that. So it starts, what's the word I want to use? It goes through the glass, which is scientifically that would be impossible. So there were a lot of amazing things that happened. It was just, and you could just feel the presence of it too. Yeah, what's nice about the San Antonio area, between San Antonio and Austin too, is it's the only area in Texas that's got like hills, which is nice. All right, let's see if we have any more super chats. It's really unfortunate about that. I'm trying not to think about it. I just gotta trust in God. Lord's will be done on that class. Oh, I remember what I wanted to talk to you guys about. So, Tuesday's epistemology class, we were doing something interesting. We were doing one of our debate reviews, and then, things that are said in the debate review then end up being a springboard for something else. And then I thought about a recent phenomenon I'd like to identify as a fallacy and see what you guys think. So I think it's like, so you know about the fallacy of unqualified authority. The argument must be true, or because let me think of an example. "99% of engineers swear by Crest toothpaste. 99% of building engineers swear by Crest toothpaste. Therefore, Crest toothpaste must be the best toothpaste," or something like that. Unqualified authority. Well, then something recent come up. Like, there's got to be a fallacy of actual qualified authority. No, is that a? Here, I'll just explain and we'll figure out a name for it. So, one of the things that we notice, especially during the COOF, and then it's just kind of generally taken over our society on any issue, is if you don't have a PhD in this so even if you have a PhD in the general area of something, if the topic happens to be in molecular biology or something and be like, well, that person's a chemist. They're PhD, so they're obviously they're not qualified to actually speak on that. Let's say you have a pediatrician or a physician or an oncologist or something like that, and they know how to research and they do research or something like that, and they question some scientific claim about jabbies or something like that. Well, they're not qualified, you see, because they don't have a PhD in immunology. Here's another one that people criticized former Surgeon General Coop, who said he'd never seen a case where a baby had to in the womb be killed in order to save the mother's life. In other words, either the baby's already dead or it's delivered C-section or something, or could be delivered without actually killing. So he was saying, Ron Paul said this too. So what do you get? You get the liberal nut jobs come on and say that doctor of pediatrics, he's obviously not a gynecologist, so he can't have an opinion. Now, this guy was the Surgeon General. He was the director of a hospital pediatrics where they actually did births. You're telling me you don't think he has knowledge of... Anyways, I was just thinking about, it's under the whole trust the experts, right? And nobody can have an opinion, or nobody could have a justified argument on anything unless you get a PhD in this very specific area. So it's not enough to get in a general area of science or medicine or pediatrics. You have to have an exact area. That's obviously a fallacy. Now, what's interesting that people use this argument, if that were true, guess what? Everybody telling you that is making a philosophical argument, and they don't have PhDs like me in philosophy. So you're unqualified to ever make an argument. I could go that way. If I give that to you, you undercut your own. That means you can't give opinions or philosophical arguments because that's my domain. Second of all, I'd always throw the people when they quote, well, they're a science. You don't have a degree in science. Yeah, I have a PhD in the philosophy of science. I'm an expert in philosophy of science, and that trumps science degrees. So I win on that count too. Call it the fallacy of specialized authority. Anyways, this is crazy. So you're telling me that somebody can't have an opinion or formulate an argument or do research on a particular area that's not in their area of expertise. I'd love for you to break it down and explain to me why that's impossible. Now, of course, there's practicalities in having quote-unquote experts and degrees and stuff like that, especially for hiring processes and just the practicality of they'll have to consider everybody's argument position. Sure. Doesn't mean that they're... Obviously, the experts are correct about that. But now think about the other problem with this, too. Is that if nobody can have an argument or opinion about an area, a specialized area or any area, unless they're specialized in it or have a PhD, then how does anybody at any one time know that group, that specialized group, what the heck they're doing? What if the scientists are doing sorcery? Well, trust the idea. Obviously, you can't look inside the science room and question us because you didn't waste all your money going to school and getting this special. You can get one of these. I got a frame. Sorry, guys. Nobody is allowed to... Oh... You're not allowed to talk unless you get this doctorate right here. My other degrees are in the trash can over there. No, over. They need to be hung. I put this in here because I'm going to get matching frames. And what is a PhD? It's being an expert on everything. So this is my pass here. Whenever I'm questioned, I'll just be like, well, this actually is an authorization signed by the king himself that lets me have an infallible opinion on anything and everything. So I win. Show them the paperwork. Get pulled over, but like, sorry, officer, got this here actually. And it does not allow you to give me a ticket. Paper worshiper. Yes. All right, let's put this back in the vault. And next time I need it to win an argument. That's how all my debates are going to be like. There really is nothing you could say. I have this paper with all the pretty colors. Do you see? That's what really makes it important, is the pretty colors. What's the other ones look like? See, the reason why I know I'm right is because also you got to get one of these. So red. That makes it official. Look at all the pretty colors. That means I'm always right. Here, this is a gold stamp. And, well, I'm the expert on all things because philosophy is the science and study of all things. So, do you see how stupid this argumentation is? If that's true, then I win on everything. But what's more concerning is, again, if you're never allowed to question or make an argument against somebody outside of your area of specialization, then you never know. They could be doing anything. The economist, the microbiologist, the immunologist, they could just be making up stuff. You're basically, what they're saying is, you're not allowed to fact check us. So that means nobody knows anything. So that's just an argument that undercuts knowledge in general. So what would we call it? If somebody says that you can't be right because you aren't an expert, it's like the inverse of unqualified authority. Theonomous calls it the fallacy of specialized authority. I'm willing to take some other proposals. We got a super chat here. Let's just read it real quick. Sage Ray, please pray for me as I prefer to defend orthodoxy Saturday versus an atheist on Jubilee. Really big. Yes, God bless you. May give you the words that you need to represent orthodoxy. And, well, so there was another argument that I was going to go over. Anyways, what are your thoughts on that? Oh, I know what it relates to. Arth J says, I literally run into this quite often. Like, the credibility can only come for your yeah. Yeah, that's the other one. You're not a woman, so you can't. How stupid. Help me think of some counterexamples. So you can't have an opinion on what women morally or legally can do, because you're not that. So it's like the fallacy of you can't have an opinion unless you've had the exact same. Now that would mean if that's true, then nobody could have an opinion about anything because it's like, well, I'm sorry, you don't have the exact properties, all the properties that I do. So until you have 47 years of age, born of a Norwegian Irish American family in Minnesota, lived in California most of his life, got a bachelor's in classical liberal arts at Thomas Aquinas College, then a master's in philosophy, University College Dublin, and a PhD. Went to St. Vladimir's Seminary, became ordained, and play mandolin and guitar in a bluegrass band every Tuesday night, and serve and live in Montana for this amount of years. You can't have any opinion on anything that I do. I mean, what a stupid. What are we gonna do? Like, we'll have separate judiciary and living places for men and women. It's like a total segregated society now because, well, you can't have any opinions or anything that unless you have the exact properties of these people. People like that should have their license to vote revoked. I would love a totalitarian society that, like, you have so many you make enough stupid arguments. It's like, it would be like DUIs. Like, you'd have to pay these fines. I bet that would actually work. People would be a lot more reluctant to open their mouths, and if there were penalties to stupid. Now, I would, in my idealized totalitarian regime, of course, this would be proportional to the amount of intelligence. Obviously, people that, and there'd be different factors. So, if you're intelligent and you knew better, right? You get heavy penalties rather than if you were just like a slow boy and just said silly stuff. You'd be less accountable. However, you could change that and get higher penalties if you were a slow boy and arrogant. Okay. And so there's these different penalties like fines, and then your license to participate in civil society could be taken away. And I always hear people say, like, well, then, I mean, who's to decide? The virtuous. An aristocracy of virtuous men. That's who would decide. And you commit enough of these dumb arguments, right? All the left would have eventually their license to participate in civil society revoked. But I bet that would fix a lot of things. Then the stupid libertarian tards would be like, yeah, but that's against freedom. Freedom. Patrick donates $5. Thank you so much. Yes. Christ's mercy. Christe eleison. Where was I? My stupid ADD. So, the libertarian tard. Freedom. I thought about, like, I was telling my class yesterday, I'm like, libertarian tards are really interesting. I'm a recovering libertarian. I go to libertarian anonymous meetings where I talk about, recovering from libertarianism. But libertarian's interesting. Talk about the most selfish, individualistic, cold-hearted. What does the libertarian says? as long as people ain't killing and graping people on my yard, what do I care what people do? Whatever they do in the privacy of their... I'm like, are you insane? That's crazy talk. You don't care about people? First of all, nothing's kept in the privacy of your own home. You think immoral actions, and the privacy is just kept, like, that doesn't change you, and that's not brought into the way that you think about. And this was another fallacy that we identified in the debate reviews yesterday in class. Obviously, the fallacy of pretending neutrality. You hear this all the time in politics. Well, they're religious, like, we shouldn't have justices with religious bias or philosophical biases. They should just be like, I'm going to retranslate that for you so that you understand how silly that sounds. We shouldn't have people that have beliefs that form other beliefs. We should have people that are brain dead, beliefless people that just read the data and words off and the law. Oh, no. You shouldn't let your beliefs and morals guide your... I mean, that's crazy. Of course you should. Now, the question is, do you have the right beliefs? This is what presupposition we were going over Van Til, and I'm like, that's it. I'm like, this applies to politics. There is no... It's a myth that you could elect a person that doesn't have biases and pre-commitments and beliefs, and that shouldn't influence. That we shouldn't expect that. Of course, you would have in principle that guide you in interpreting law and morals and stuff like that. The question is, do you have the right ones, and do we want the people with the wrong ones, vices, and incorrect political presuppositions in government making these decisions? Of course we don't. But it's the fallacy of pretending neutrality. You could just turn your brain off when your presupposition and like, well, I'm just neutral on. I just read the... Well, the same thing against the libertarian is, do you think they just... Your presuppositions, your beliefs, your ideologies, your religion, and your immoral actions or moral actions done in the privacy of your home, they can just shut off when you enter into public society? And so there's this dialectics between public and private life, as if they're these separated spheres that should be separated, just like church and state, right? That, like, well, these are two separate spheres. You know, you can go over here and put your church hat on and go, like, libertarian believes this, and it's stupid. That's just not reality, nor should it be expected to. Number two, what a cold-hearted... All it means is that if you're a libertarian, I just care about myself and I don't care about anybody else. Oh, I don't care if they destroy their bodies through immoral actions. Or their soul, and they go to hell as long as they're not doing it on my property. Number three, critique of libertarianism. Freedom's okay sometimes. It can be a virtue. Obviously, you don't want the extreme of, like, total slavery or something, right? But on the hierarchical list of virtues, it's not at the top, libertarian. I have no problem, again, theoretically, talking politically, having what you call totalitarian, like, that's book banning. Who cares? Well, that's not fair. Who cares if you don't think it's fair? What if I just say that? I don't care. I don't care about your nap. Right? I don't care about what you think is fair. Or I don't think if you care if you think it's a good argument. You get 3 strikes and you're out. And you get your license. Yeah, but what if the next person in power gets... Well, that's just politics. Make sure they don't get in power. Who's to decide? The virtuous is to decide. Ideally, that is exactly what... Anyways, I'm halfway joking, but they're great kind of arguments to kind of refute the libertarian. Yeah, scientists have no biases, of course. Yeah. They just bring up tiny mustache man and call you a Yahtzee. Don't cut like... Your sorcery words do not work on me. Nobody cares anymore. Like, that's what's... Like, I knew that was happening. You keep calling people tiny mustache man and Yahtzees, you're going to overplay your hand and then nobody's going to care. People are just like, sure, that's great. I'm for tiny mustache man. Like, it took all the power, like... Alright, let's see if we have any more super chats. So, tomorrow I'm going to be continuing. I wonder if I should stream that live. Last class. I mean, I've done this, live before. Obviously the Van Til and Bonson debate. It's really fun and good to do that in light of the epistemology class, because of things that we're learning. But what is this saying? I'm reading another argument. So maybe this argument. If Christianity is true, then a perfect being exists. But if a perfect being exists, then Christianity is false. Therefore, Christianity is false. Well, who in their right mind would ever agree to premise 2? The argument is logically valid. If the premises are true, then the conclusion has to be true. Why would they... I can make a whole bunch of stupid valid arguments. Like, you obviously have to prove... Why would if a perfect being, then Christianity is false? Oh, because Christianity makes me upset and there's things I don't like. So, somebody's only objection to premise 2 is a psychological report about their feelings. Well, it has to be true because it makes me mad. That's a level of sophistication. This is supposed to be Alex Malpass's argument. Like, it's amazing. That just proves that you could have an intelligent person, that atheism makes you retarded. One second, let me read you a whole host of... valid. What's the thing on validity? Validity. Yeah. I'm gonna teach you about valid arguments through 90s. Oh yeah, valid. Yeah. Even though, where is it? It should be chapter 3. Isn't that how every... Chapter 3, chapter 4. No. Chapter 5? How about I just look up? Why do I make it so hard on myself? I just look up in the glossary. Validity. Oh my goodness, somebody came in the middle of the night and stole my glossary. $42 and $45. Yes, found it. Found it. I'm going to give you two valid arguments with false premises. One has a true conclusion, one has a false conclusion. All wines are soft drinks. False. Ginger ale is a wine, therefore ginger ale is a soft drink. True. So, yeah, it's valid. Somebody giving you a valid argument is just like, it's just the skeleton structure, it's the form of it. Just means if you put the right stuff in, you get the right stuff out. Here, put the wrong stuff in. So it's an unsound argument. Here's another one, false premises and false conclusion, but it's a valid argument. All wines are whiskeys. Ginger ale is a wine. Therefore, ginger ale is a whiskey. So, but I came up with an unsound valid argument against Christianity. If a perfect being exists, then Christianity is false. Wow. I mean, Christopher Walken teaches like, wow, it's not a sound argument. You know, it's got a false premise. But I came on here to look for another argument to share with you. Yeah, I found Omar's. Yeah. Somebody in the Discord. There was an argument about that somebody posted. Yeah, ask the person what perfect being is. Well, obviously, whatever I say. However, I define. Well, how do you know? I mean, think about all the assumptions that this. Don't even grant these people anything. Now, what I can't figure out is there really people in Discord that actually thought that was a challenging argument? Wow, man, everybody's... So one individual... I can't tell if they're trolling me or... They had made a comment about... Somebody referred them to my reason for reason, and they said... I mean, automatically reason for reason sounds like a surviving mechanism we had to adopt. I don't even know what that means, but here's a good way to put it. I said, so you prefer... So the question is there... Do you know what we mean by reason? I don't just mean brain activity and doing things with your mind. Reason is has to do within the normative sphere. The ability... The norm of the... Not only you have the ability, but that you ought to be able to have justifications, have knowledge, make arguments and stuff like that. And that it works. So it's not a description, like the brain just... the mind just does this stuff. but that one ought to look for justifications. That within this realm of reason, so that's why we say it was reasonable that the person, right, these reasons were justification for him believing that this belief to be true or something like that. That's what we mean by reason. So what I want to know is, how do you explain that? What are your reasons for reason? And so my paper is the reason for reason. There's only going to be one thing that can give an account for coherently and with all the things that are wanted in epistemology. So I don't know why somebody would object to the title, The Reason for Reason. I'm like, so I rhetorically retorted back. So you prefer no reason for reason. So we have reason. Here's what reason is. Why is that? Well, no reason. Why is this? Why is coffee? No reason. Why are we in a room right now? No reason. My favorite, it's the no reason fallacy. Well, anytime I don't like an argument, I'll just say no reason. Or anytime I'm put on the spot, and the burden of proof will be like, well, it's the no reason, you see. It's the sorcery here. Listen to my words. No reason, no reason, no. No, 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 no. Reason. These are not the reasons you're looking for because there are no reasons. Anyways, the gentleman says he says, I prefer unproven mythology over natural process. We don't believe, first of all, in mythology. I mean, I have mythology up on my... Oh no, I'm stuck. My cat's stuck in my chair. What is he talking about? Sophocles, where's all my mythology, Greek mythology? Well, I prefer it. Is it preferred over science? Well, when I'm reading about Greek mythology, I do. I mean, it depends. I hope you don't mean Christianity. First of all, it is proven. It's the only proof for proofs. So you saying it's like this is what every atheist does. You're unproven. Mythology, dusty mythology books, non-science. Hey, just because, like I used to have a friend when I provide arguments to, says, I'm not convinced. I'm like, I don't care if you're convinced. I don't care if you don't think it's a proof. If the argument's objectively awesome, like, that's a you problem. Maybe you should go talk to your therapist about. And if it's a matter in convincing, I could just blackmail you. I could just solve this real easy. Right? We just call up the thought police. Convincing somebody psychologically versus it objectively being approved. Tag is objectively approved. And the fact that you want some evidence, the fact that nobody has ever come even remotely with any like possibly good objections should be evidence for you that that's the case. So no, we don't prefer unproven mythology unless I'm reading Greek mythology and not doing science that day. But guess what? This is what I want to bring up. Good luck. I love these people. Science can't get you to knowledge. If you know all the problems with science as a philosopher of science, you're not going to get over the induction problem. You're not going to get over how quote unquote scientific facts are established, the history of science, the nature of experiments, the failure of experiments, the undetermination of data. I could keep going. You won't be able to. So science doesn't even get you near knowledge. Certainly from science, like there might be another case through tag to argue some various maybe critical realism or structural realism or something like that. But I love how that people might. I made a joke with one of the students because we're going over a difficult issue in epistemology, and he was like, "Yeah, but quantum mechanics." I'm like, "Quantum mechanics." Quantum mechanics is like in terms of science one of the most theoretical, like it's got a lot of issues. So whatever in terms of quote unquote epistemic certitude, it's way out there. So we have an issue, right, that we're having a hard time with, and you go out to what does Aristotle always say? If you want to explain something that's not clear and obscure, go to something that's more clear. Don't go and be like, well, quantum mechanics and quantum entanglement seafoam theory says that blah blah blah, and that would be a refutation of like Christian. It's like, so you're gonna go to Marvel Comics, Doctor Strange Multiverse, quantum mechanics, seafoam entanglement theories as your refutation? The most obscure theoretical. The criterion problem. Thank you, Vic. So not only from science you're not even going to get to that science, first of all, is a legitimate method as far as methodology, but to any epistemic claims whatsoever, and you're going to use the weakest thing to to refute the strongest thing. Does that make any sense? Good luck. And we all know that the rise of Skittles comes through quantum science machines. Start messing around with quantum science and you'll have gender dysphoria, and it's quantum sorcery. And that's how you turn fake and gray. Everybody knows, anybody that knows anything knows that as soon as you start playing around, it's like boys playing with dollies. And the analogy is people playing with quantum seafoam theories turns you fake and gray. And I mean, think about it. It's sorcery, and you get all confused. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm gay. That's my argument against. Science isn't even categorically in the category of being able to tell you how not. Again, so another objection. If reason has to do with the normative, you are committing the naturalistic fallacy. So suppose that you could. Oh, the problem of causality, too. Like all the Humean skeptical. Suppose you could get over that. From science, you could establish what? An external world. Can't do that. And what's hilarious is with all the quantum fake and gray theories, sorcery theories, all of that is like quantum idealism. It's like, so, which admits that there's no even external, it's all just an idea. Yeah, that's why Doctor Who's fluid gender and still gray. great point. Be careful you don't drink quantum coffee. So you'd have to get rid of that. And science is never going to be able to prove there's an external world, the problem of other minds, that causality exists out there. Quantum Dyer. Where's Dyer? Quantum toothpaste. Yeah, I'm just going to like start marketing everything with quantum on it. Yeah, by the way, we Orthodox don't have a problem with induction because, the problem with induction is that it's impossible to get to even a probabilistic claim. That's a problem from autonomous epistemology. That can I from a finite amount of cases conclude to a universal and be justified in doing that? Could fall under the terms of reason. No, because from an autonomous position, there's far more information contained in the conclusion than are the premises. But the more devastating problem is what's called the you would also need a premise of induction that would guarantee that that's even probable, because the future would resemble the past. Making those claims, because the question was, okay, well, it can't fit into like a deductive in that form of, it can't be within the realm of logic, but perhaps it's a probabilistic argument, because intuitively we do say that. It's like, yeah, it's probably the case if I saw this number, then blah blah blah. But that's not the problem. The problem is, can I even get to the probabilistic? And I need the premise of induction added to that to make it even probable. And that is the future where there's only the past. How do I know that? Because all my past futures have been like my future futures. It's circular. And so there's no way to be able to answer that from an autonomous position. Now, obviously, from a Theonomous, it's like, well, God establishes the regularity of nature. So yeah, it is. You can reason probably. Like, we have no problem saying that. Quantum relativism. All right, let's see if we got any more super chats. I'm about to get going. I've got a lot of grading. I just want to share with you real quick that we do have a special offer for those who are given a promotion key for a Patristic Faith credit card. And you can earn up to, today only, 70,000 quantum miles into your Quantiverse bonus quantum miles with your special promotion here. And you can actually use these for quantum mile points for purchasing any products on Patristic Faith. Again, we have there is a quantum Patristic Faith card for you with low APRs and our basic quantum gateway card, no APR. No annual fee, 2 quantum miles for every Patristic Faith purchase, and so you can get some quantum perks with that today if you register to get your Patristic Faith quantum cards. How do you like that? for quantum advertisement. All right. Yeah, everybody's getting caught up on the circularity thing. Of course, circularity is loud at some level. Have you ever drawn a circle on the board? Oh, look, you can't do that. That's circularity. You can't drink a coffee cup. There's circularity in the coffee cup, you see. All circularity is bad fallacy. I want to explain semantics and words to you. Use words. If I'm going to want to explain the necessary conditions for the possibility of an argument, guess what? I'm going to use an argument to recursively refer back to what's beyond an argument. I can't get out of my words or arguments when talking what's beyond words, and so there's a level of circularity, but it's not bootstrap, it's not vicious. I don't know why people can't understand. That's why I don't use... It's like the evangelical. You never use the word lift around an evangelical. Why? Because they're so brainwashed into lifting their hands in praise that if you're like, hey, could you help me lift? Well, we lift you. We praise you, Lord. It's like these people. You do not bring up the word circle around. They'll be like, circles are bad. Don't ever draw a circle. So, it's called circlephobia. All circles must be vicious circles. Even the ones you draw on the board. Or if you see a circle in the room. Are the circles in the room with us right now? My God. He's lost his mind. Spock. Yeah, circularity is inevitable at some point. So these people have circlephobia. I don't even use the word around them because it's a trigger. I use the word reflexivity or recursion just rhetorically because circophobes. So make sure that people are confused like this, that you shame them as circophobes. You bigot. You hate circles? What did a circle ever do to you? Yeah, circle bullied me as a kid, so now I'm circlephobic. I know, I hate that. Everything's got a phobia. Talk about a psyop, Sigmund psyop on everything's phobias and fears. I could play that game. You bigot. Why are you so phobic of my phobia? There's the phobia phobic. Huh? Nothing worse than a phobia phobic. That's the other thing too. Just accuse. So anything come out of any fool's mouth, prove it. It's not what you can say out of your mouth words. It's what you can prove. Some atheists say tag is verbal diarrhea. Like, who cares what they say? Again, first you have to understand that circularity will be inevitable at some level. There's no way to get out of that. And not all circularity is bad. So the question is, I always say, is, again, there's nobody that's presuppositionalist. And in this sense, I don't mean in the sense of like foundationalism per se, but is contra like coherentism, but like there's nobody that's not foundation, who's foundational, who's foundationless. Even coherentism is their foundation. So the question is the sort of thing that ends up being a foundational and a truly one's presupposition, but first a true first principle, epistemically speaking, does it do the work that you want it to? Can explain these, and by the work too is not only the justificatory work, but the sort of thing that explains all the things that are in question. So, did I lose you guys? Did my internet go down? No, my screen just... It's weird. It went white and it said check back. So my whole thing is like, can one premise, this is like premise circular, can one premise, right, or a proposition, or a non-personal non-relational or non-reason cause be a justification, right, and do the work? Can we presuppose that and have it do the justificatory work that we want? And so when inevitably it gets back to a first principle and the circularity, then I was sort of like, your bootstrap, like, it doesn't do the work. And so you're like, yeah, but if it does the work, then I'll bootstrap myself up on... That's why it's vicious. And coherentism, like, people misunderstand, and coherentism, trust me, has its own problems. There is something that is remotely true about coherent, like, yeah, you obviously... coherent doesn't just mean, in coherentism, that propositions don't contradict each other, but that they're logically derivable and logically connected. So, for example, it's true, and there's no contradiction between the tree is green and I'm in the room, but they're not logically connected. I can't derive one from the other. Coherentism means that each proposition would logically cohere and to be derived. So I would agree with in a paradigm, like, yeah, you would want that. There is also, I love when people are like, you have to choose between foundationalism or coherentism. Oh, do I? By the way, that's what, I'm just going to start using more sarcasm. Oh, really? That's not what leading authors in this... Oh, it isn't? Really? Why don't you tell me what they believe? How about found heretism? It's actually a... I got you. If I have to pick, I've got a third way. I'm a found herentist. There's literally a thing called found heretism. Can you believe it? Oh, is there? Look at this. Found heretism. Do you notice when people come on like Jay's stream, they've got the Zoomer soy condescension laugh? I'm gonna do the I feel like Gen X could be marked with be known as the sarcastic generation. Oh, really? Is that what they are? What if I just start doing I'm gonna do the Gen X sarcastic condescension laugh. You actually, atheists actually say that? Of course they do. Gen Zog. I had an interesting conversation with my godson who was working on the book with Russ Mannion. We actually think there's a sea change. There is a shift that's happening from the left brain autism to a right brain, in part because of people like Jordan Peterson, Pajot, and these different people, where the whole autistic left brain, analytic, quantitative, formulaic, the kind of real logical, like to get you to Christ and the gospel, like there's a shift. People responding to kind of more in the right brain, the holistic, the stories, the archetype, that he was like, we may found ourselves in, and this is a good thing, that we may not even need tag anymore. That's great. Tag, once it's tag is really just the gospel. It's not an argument. Tag's a way for me to remove your excuses and obstacles so that you can have a Gestaltian shift in which you noetically and experientially meet Christ, unmediated, immediate, that you have a knowledge that's indubitable. And it's a story. Notice it's actually a right brain. It's not a left brain, so it's not an argument, really. That's why Russ Mannion's paper, there is no purely rationalistic argument for theism. There's only a theistic account for rationality. So the argument, we can talk about it loosely, is kind of an inference and stuff like that. But it's not really an argument. It's a removal. Again, I can't help but use words and arguments to talk about what's beyond words and arguments. But there's this question between the logical priority of something and the temporal. Of course, I'm using that stuff. I can't help but what it's pointing to, and again, this is why to really understand what I present on tag, you have to read the apophatic ascent to the divine. It's apophaticism. It's the what's the phrase that I'm looking for in it's the divine darkness. It's seeing the lights by removing all the other things, all the created, so that I may see the uncreated light. And it's a recognition of the failures of autonomous epistemology and words and arguments to capture, to circumscribe, and to prove God's existence. So there's no proof for proofs. Again, that can actually prove that. And therefore, it's an apophatic, it's a cleansing, it's a catharsis. And in the darkness, once you removed all the visible things, the created things, you'll be able to actually see the light. And you're given Theonomous, you're giving the story. That's right brain. You're not given a proposition. You're given a person. And the person speaks. and they give you a story. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In the beginning, darkness hovered over the waters, and this is... If we move people into the right brain, away from the left brain, again, it's healthy to go back, like, put this propositionally, right? But it's not the arguments and the propositions and the philosophies that prove God's existence. There's nothing that can be independent, prior, behind God that could actually prove him. He is the proof for proofs. He's prior to all arguments and words. And so there's circularity in that sense, that, but I'm not bootstrapping myself on that, saying it depends. God's existence depends on my argument. Any more than the meaning of my words depends on the words that I'm speaking to you right now. The meaning of words. And it's like, I just can't get out of it. Here, let me show you another problem too. And part of this is just from our finite point of view and our limited circumscribed nature of words and arguments, and that it's like I can't actually explain it. And God created time. So obviously what was God doing before he created time, as St. Augustine asks in chapter 10 of the Confessions. And to appreciate the silliness of that question is before connotes time. So what was God doing in the time before he created time? And St. Augustine says, creating a special place, jokingly, in hell for people to ask questions like that. Now, of course, where's the problem? Is the problem on the reference side with the question, what was God doing in the time before he created time? Or is it due to the refers in the language being tensed and limited and conditioned, that it's like I can't help but talk about even before time was created in tense. So it mean it was a time before time before time. It's the same way with, again, so the problem isn't God's side. The problem is my language. I have no way of actually expressing that because I'm limited. I'm tensed in my language. And it's the same way I can't explain to you or prove to you that there's something that's beyond proofs. That's the proof for proofs. That's not dependent on my propositions or the form of my argument or anything. It's not dependent on anything, but I'm stuck using arguments. So I have to do a transcendental argument in the form of a deductive argument that logically is prior to actually deduction itself. So there's a circularity in that sense, but that's not epistemic bootstrapping. It's very different. So these people are too spiritually corrupt or low IQ to understand that. So I'm just going to use, rather than even wasting my time with these people, I'm going to use my sarcastic Gen Z condescension and just be like, it's not even wrong. I find it philosophically boring and not even worth one more second of my time. Sorry, verbal diarrhea is philosophically boring. Why should I have to explain why something's not verbal diarrhea to a diarrhea mind? Has anybody ever asked that? I mean, that's really, if there's an elephant in the room, it's that. Why am I obliged to explain why tag's not verbal diarrhea or viciously circulate to somebody who has a diarrhea mind? A poop mind. I mean, how arrogant are you that you think that I should waste my time on man, we've been going for... Let's see if there's any super chats. I do appreciate them. And as I said, this one-time offer for your Patristic Faith credit card, in which you can earn up to 70,000 quantum space miles. Also, you get the perks too. You get 2 Patristic Faith passes per year to the multiverse of your choosing. Again, our entry-level Patristic Faith Quantum Gateway card has no multiverse transaction fees. That's a good thing. No annual fee, in fact. And for every purchase, Patristic Faith, you'll get actually 2 quantum miles on every purchase. So there's a real zinger there. And today only you get the promotional code. And with that promotional code, you'll actually get, look at this, 5,000 bonum quantum miles right there when you open your account today. And I can give you that promotion code. So how is that for Patristic Faith quantum deals today? It's quantum. We had quantum Black Friday deals going on, but I was in another quantum verse in San Antonio at the time, so I couldn't be here with you. And of course, quantum cyber Freak Monday deals, and but I thought I'd offer you that. Haven't been back. If you missed out on the quantum Friday, Black Friday deals and the quantum cyber Monday. All right. Any other questions before? And what's really great, Rayaz says, do you ship overseas? And what's great is with free quantum shipping, that actually you can instantaneous through the quantum. Where's my quantum science machine? Here's my quantum. Basically, this is what I do. So all shipping comes through my quantum Dyson shipping machine. So what I like to do is I put products in here, and you can see that the quantum foam collects there, and through the quantum entanglement foam there. Whoa! Free shipping, quantum shipping overseas. Absolutely, brother. Yeah, thank you for asking. So, where is... Yeah, don't you love science? Yeah, so just another perk of Patristic Faith. And so, again, every donation and super chat helps me invest in my quantum science. And so it makes possible giving free quantum shipping to our friend like Riot Colt, who is currently living overseas. Occasionally, yes, we've had some products lost in different multiverses, and we're working on that. That presents some shipping delays, so I apologize if anybody's lost any products, weren't delivered because they were incorrectly shipped to another multiverse. Obviously, it's more of an art than a science. Quantum science at this point is more of an art than a science. We're still working out the bugs, so do appreciate your patience. And again, every penny helps in helping build our quantum science, Patristic Faith machines, and upkeep too. It takes a lot. Are we not men? Donates $1.99. That will help. Yeah, and that also helps for the indentured servants. If they're not indentured, that I wouldn't have to pay them. Anyways, you get this one. All right, and God bless you guys. It is time for me to grade. May you have a blessed feast day. This feast day of the presentation, the Theotokos into the temple. It's always a pleasure, and it's always having fun, telling jokes, especially making fun of low IQ arguments and atheists, one of my favorite hobbies. Again, I had a girl I went to high school with that gave the argument that we went over today on the abortion stuff. Obviously, I was working really hard at this last election to make sure that certain pro-abortion stuff wasn't voted in. And this girl had to come onto my channel, onto my property, right? What's interesting, you'll find, I actually don't go onto other people's pages and start stuff with them. As much as I like to debate, I actually don't do that. I'm like, they can say whatever stupid stuff they want on their page. So I find it hilarious when people are like, you lost, ese? Orale, check it out, are you lost? Hey, homie. What you claim, homie, ese? You barely just arrived up on my property, eh? And call me out, fool? Hey, take it easy, homie. Hey, tranquilo, check out this essay over here, eh? She comes on and starts using the argument, you can't have a position on any moral position or legal position on a woman because you're not a woman. And we went over how silly this would be. What if I said that, like, I was thinking this is a good retort. Well, since reason belongs to men, you can't have any position on whether my argument's reasonable or not. If you don't have all the exact properties that I have, you can't actually make a comment on me making a comment about you. I mean, talk about Pavlovian conditioned retardedness, which is what NPC basically is, if I had to sum that up. She loses the argument with me. Or I think it was just like a one night. So what does she do? Is what all women who have and capability of reason correctly go to. Emotions. Irrational hysterics. And ad hominems. I knew you when you were a snotty-nosed little kid. All your degrees. Remember we did a whole section on all my degrees? All your degrees. I'll just get my highest degree and pull everything. One out of my quantum closet. She says, all your degrees doesn't allow you to judge me. I'm like, well, wait, what? I thought, hold on a second. I thought I spent 20 years in school getting these beautiful papers. See that? Doctor of Philosophy. So I could judge people. I want a refund. If I can't use these things here, all of these here, to actually, this is 3 times, where's my 4th degree? I went into student debt, took out all this debt to get these pieces of paper, for what? If it weren't for the judge, I want my money back. What a waste of time. Right? We all know that these fancy, colorful papers is precisely what allows me to judge you, lady. Hey, lady, take it easy with your hysterics. I can see what the problem is right now. It's this thing, right? All right, going back into the quantum closet. So Quantum Deacon in another multiverse can use that in his stream that we covered today. But yeah, of Of course I get to judge you. And you can't judge me judging you because you don't have these quantum degrees that I have. And it says right there on this certificate allows Quantum Deacon to judge all women. And you can't judge him on judging that because you don't have every identical property that he does, nor do you have this pretty colorful paper, right? Do you see how this works? It's just don't ask, just look at the color on the paper and the fancy Latin with the stamp, and that's it. So that covers our analysis of so many wonderful topics today. Women, fallacies. Is that the same thing? Women and fallacies? We got a modal collapse on women and fallacies. If we had to sum up today's talk, wouldn't we say that's exactly what we did? But it was good. It was good to be here. It's always good to start off in prayer. Again, especially this wonderful day that is the feast day of the entrance of the Theotokos. The only, obviously speaking of women, the highest, the best examples of all mankind and humanity. O champion leader, we offer thanks to thee for victory. And with that, I end. May the Holy Lady Theotokos bless all of us, protect us, and grant us victory against our enemies. Until next time, amen.